I've been thinking about what I wanted to say tonight. It feels like every minute of every day for the last few weeks, and appreciate my family for hanging with me. I thought I would tell you a little my story and how it's interwoven with say, but it's emotional, and but I'm really feeling the love, so I know we're gonna get through this together. When I was a kid, and stuttering was really, really hard for me. And, my parents, they noticed, and, we sought help from, from professionals. And you guys have been by my side every step of the way. You've been with me through everything, and you're here tonight because, of course, you are. With me, you always care about what I care about. And, it seemed pretty simple when I started to get help. I had a real problem, and we all thought that we should fix it. And I really wanted to fix it. And I tried really, really hard to fix it. And I did all the exercises, and I did all the tools, the techniques, but I still stutter. And the problem with that is once, you feel the shame of being someone who stutters, and then when you work so hard to try to not be someone who stutters, you feel the shame of that failure. And so then what happens is you try to hide it. And I did everything I could to hide it. And it was impossible sometimes. But like Joe said earlier, the easiest way to hide stuttering is to not attempt to speak. And there's other ways too, like, scanning ahead, trying to figure out maybe what word you might stutter on, or switch words and things like that, or just pretend that you forgot what you were going to say. And that's how I lived my life up until I was just a few months away from graduating from college. And my brother, he was out in California pursuing his dream of being an actor at that time, and we're a real tight family. We still are. Nothing feels better than blood on blood. And my brother was hit and killed by a drunk driver going over 130 miles an hour in California. And it totally shattered us. And so the next few months, stuttering wasn't such the central player in my life. But I graduated from school and I got a job, and stuttering was the hardest it had ever been in my life for me. I remember the day that I just felt like it was rock bottom for me. I was sitting in my cubicle, and the phone rang. My heart's racing. I pick it up, and it's just, and the other person on the other side is saying hello, 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 and he thinks that it's a bad connection. He hangs up. So towards the end of the day, I just got up, got in my car, started driving to my place, and tears streaming down my face. I can't live like this. I can't. And I decided that my only choice was to go back to therapy, but I just kind of figured, that didn't work for me. But I found my way to a program, and there was an intern there that fundamentally changed my life. And he's actually here. His name's Eric Jackson. And for about 20 years, almost 20 years, the way that I was managing my stuttering, and I was just hiding from it, and I was running from it, and I was trying to conceal it. And when I met Eric, he was doing the exact opposite. When I was moving away from stuttering, he was moving towards it. And I honestly, I didn't know someone like Eric could exist. I didn't know that it was allowed. I didn't know that you could be a great communicator and stutter at the same time. But there he was. And like I'd started to hear, stuttering is okay, but I didn't really feel like it. But all of a sudden, there's this guy, and I could see it. And stuttering was okay. And I wanted to be like you. And I never thought that I would want to be like someone who stutters, ever. Someone like me. And I knew that road, I knew it was challenging. I knew it was hard. I knew that it wasn't going to be easy and not like this, path of least resistance, that I was taking. But I also knew that my days of running from this thing were over. About a year and a half later, I met my wife, Kelly. And up until then, any time I was interested in anyone, I would just hide it for as long as possible. And then, when it eventually did come up, I would just try to minimize it. And I liked you so much. And, she's so beautiful. She's so lovely. And there's still, I was changing, but there's that part of me that was really insecure. And I asked Kelly, I said, are you sure this isn't going to be a problem? And she said, I like that you stutter. And I'm like, what? She liked that I stutter. She said, because it makes you who you are, and I like who you are. And I know whatever that is, the trait, you've passed it to our kids. I'm very proud of you boys, and you look really sharp in your suits. And so Kelly and I got engaged, and this was about 2012, and I was getting to know more and more people who stutter, and I learned about this organization, and I learned about camp. And I decided I wanted to work at camp. And I don't actually know how they do this, but the staff they get at camp is just unbelievable. So good. And so there's all these deeply impressive people who are there at camp, some of whom stutter, some of whom do not. And of course, Taro stutters. And the staff gets there before the kids do, for training. And what I observed is, there's all these people I respect, all these really impressive people. We're all in a room, and when Tara walks in, everybody respects you so much, and you stutter. I've never seen that before. And so it had a huge impact on me. I remember that car ride, which was, when I think about it, you gave me literally the best advice I've ever gotten from anyone. And Taro said, the advice he gave me is when you're coming up on a challenging or tough decision, you should ask yourself, is this decision coming from a place of courage, or is this decision coming from a place of fear? If it's coming from fear, it's coming from a place of fear, it's probably the wrong decision. Changed my life. 6 months later, I decided to start my own company, and I named it Chase Bliss. Chase after my brother Chase and his one of his heroes, Joseph Campbell, who's known for the phrase, follow your bliss. And when I started out, I still had a full-time job, and I was designing guitar effects pedals. And the first one I came out with, sales were slow, and like I remember every email I got. I remember the names of like all of the first sales, because there weren't a lot, and it would make me feel so good, like, wow, someone else bought it. But then the feedback I was getting was that, it was cool, but it was complicated, and it would really be great if there was some instructional videos. And so I was pretty much the only person that knew how the thing worked. So my friend, he worked at a local news station, and he had access to the studio after hours. I think he asked permission. And we went in there and we shot these videos, and I explained how the product worked. And of course, I stuttered, and we put the videos up on YouTube, and there was some negative comments. It's the internet, and it hurt, but it hurt a little less each time. And the thing I wasn't expecting were all the positive comments, from people that saw me and thought, well, clearly that's not easy for him, but he's communicating the information that we want. And it started to build this community where, random strangers on the internet would stick up for me. And so that if they saw a negative comment, like it was like, hey, knock it off, And the videos got popular, and the company got popular. And 13 years after I started, we have a staff of 21 amazing people. I think the one thing I'm really skilled at is finding really great people. And we have most of the staff works at our headquarters in Minneapolis. We also have an office in Amsterdam, showroom in Tokyo, and fulfillment partners in Japan, Australia, Mexico City, and we're opening up a hub later this year in Brazil. We work with, thank you. We work with amazing, creative, and inspiring artists, some of which you've probably heard of. And I don't think it's a huge stretch to say that we're one of the most well-respected guitar pedal companies in the world. And as I wrap up here, I wanted to just mention a full circle moment, because I think it really relates to the essence of camp, and I just wanted to also mention my favorite part of camp. I talked about Eric earlier, and a couple years ago he was a keynote speaker at a conference. He's a professor at NYU here now, and I had the opportunity to introduce him, and I said some of the same stuff that I said earlier. And we were all hanging out a few hours after that, and my other friend Mark O'Malley is here, and he's become this force of nature in the stuttering community when it comes to therapy and advocacy. And he said, Joel, I need to tell you something. And I said, yeah, what's that? And he said, you were my Eric. And that's probably one of the nicest and most generous things anyone's ever said to me. Thank you so much. And I think that, those experiences happened to me a little bit later in my life. And, when I think back to the 2 years that I worked at camp, my favorite thing, and it's hard to pick a favorite, but this is my favorite, is the first the day the kids come to camp. Because on one end, you see these friendships that have been built over years. And, a lot of these kids, they haven't seen each other for a year. So they come and it's just joy and love and celebration. And that is just so amazing. But then there's those kids that have never been to camp before. They've never met someone who stutters before. And it's the closest thing to magic in this world that I can think of. Because you can see it in their eyes, and I remember that feeling where it's just like, maybe I'm not broken. And that to me is the essence of camp and the essence of this organization. And Taro, I just want to thank you so much for making this special place. Thank you so much for this honor, and thank you all for letting me tell you my story now.